California passed a law a number of years ago that came into effect that essentially prohibits Californian customers from purchasing ammunition to be shipped directly to their homes. And there's a background check requirement, among some other things that law did. When the governor at the time was touring the state, kind of touting how great this bill was for Californians, his security detail was denied.
I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Winchester Supreme Optics, TSAS, First Person Defender, Ruger, Loophole, Range Ready, Black Hills Ammunition, and Colt. All right, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, let's talk about online ammo. Let's talk about how do you find ammo, what do you buy ammo, and the guys behind it. And maybe we'll pick up some secrets. I don't know, some pro tips for you. Welcoming on the show today, Ammunition Depot, Dan Wolgin. Welcome in, man.
Thanks for having me.
So
glad to be here, Ryan.
Dan, we were talking the other day, and I was I think people probably know Ammunition Depot because it's one of the places when you're scrounging around the internet for ammo, you always run across you guys. And it seems like that's become one of the ways people shop for ammo these days is buying it online.
Yeah, I mean, well, first, we certainly hope that people have heard of us, but if they haven't, we hope that they come check us out. Buying everything online has become one of the ways that people go and kind of get what they need for their lives. And so, ammunition's no different. Of course, it's heavy. And so it is a little bit different in that generally when you're coming to shop online, you aren't going to come and buy one box of 50 rounds or one box of 20 rounds of hollow point and ship that. But as long as you're coming for a good assortment of ammunition, you can build a nice order, then it's going to be a really cost-effective way for customers to get the products that they're looking for at a really competitive price and convenient. It's going to come right to your door.
Yeah.
Or if you're buying a firearm, right to your chosen gun shop to go and do a transfer. So it's a great way to, well, you have to be inside the United States.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Sorry, guys. I can't help you. I feel like California these days.
In reality, you kind of can sell into California. You can buy ammunition in California. It's just a bit of a complicated process. We're doing everything we can to make that easier for the Californian consumers. And, I joke, but, our American brothers and sisters in the state of California. So we are a plaintiff in a lawsuit against the state of California, trying to kind of regain what we consider Second Amendment rights, constitutional rights.
Tell me
for
about
Californians. That. Yeah, sure. So California passed a law a number of years ago that came into effect that essentially prohibits Californian customers from purchasing ammunition to be shipped directly to their homes. There's an import ban, and there's a background check requirement, among some other things that law did, which essentially forced the Californian consumer to go into a physical brick and mortar store to purchase ammunition and have a background check done on them. Of course, no background check systems in our nation are set up to handle the kind of volume that would be required to background check every time somebody wants to buy ammo.
It's crazy.
In fact, there was a really kind of funny anecdote when the governor at the time was touring the state, kind of touting how great this bill was for Californians. His security detail was denied when they tried to run a background check now. So obviously it didn't really work the way that it was intended to work. So we're doing everything that we can. We're plaintiff on a lawsuit. It's currently sitting with the Ninth Circuit, which should we prevail, which I certainly hope that we do, Californians will again be able to purchase ammunition online and have it shipped directly to their homes like you can in basically the rest of the state, the country.
Freedom, baby. Yeah. Well, and the Ninth Circuit has been kind of surprising lately because in the past we called it the Ninth Circus Court of Appeals, and nothing positive for guns or gun rights could get out of that freaking court. And in the last, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years, you've had some decisions go a surprising way that was kind of pro freedom, pro gun, which has been good.
Yeah. So over the last, I don't know, let's say decade, there's been a number of judges appointed to that court who have more reasonable views,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, right? But I suppose you could call them more conservative views, particularly
Mm-hmm.
with respect to gun rights. And as a result, when you go and challenge these courts with a case, you kind of get randomly assigned the judges, and it starts with three judges.
Right.
Obviously, our legal systems are complicated, so it can go a couple of different ways from there. But it starts with three judges, and it can be a little bit of the luck of the draw. So sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we don't.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that people listening to this need to do? Because sometimes when we talk about court cases, I guess it's not necessarily a writing to your senators thing, but maybe just keep an eye on it or support it in some way.
Yeah, so the California Rifle and Pistol Association and the NRA are really the entities that are supporting this fight. And so if you're so inclined and you like what it is these entities do, they're nonprofit entities, they need your support monetarily. It's also never a bad idea to write your congresspeople, your senators and your congresspeople, let them know what you think. Maybe to a lesser extent, other people's congresspeople. But at the end of the day, all of those elected representatives are supposed to be representing the people as a whole. They have their constituents, but they should be thinking about what's best and what's desired by the people as a whole. So, make your voices heard. That's, I think, really the most important part. Make them heard by voting, make them heard by spending your dollars, by donating your dollars, and, more traditionally by just actually getting your voice out there in a written or verbal form. You can call the offices of your Congress people and senators
Well,
as
I
well,
mean,
and do
we've
it on the
said
state
it.
level too.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And we've said it for years that, I mean, it's easy for people in other places to say, oh, whatever, California, that place is a mess. Why don't you just move, whatever. But you don't want nonsense California laws to become law.
Yeah.
You don't want them to spread, and they absolutely spread. I mean, it spreads to Oregon and Washington. It spreads into
Hmm.
Arizona, believe it or not. You have a lot of Californians there. You have a lot of Californians moving to Utah and Idaho and all these places. And hell, even like Texas. I mean, you don't want that stuff to gain a foothold in the idea of these politicians who are, I mean, half of them are maybe great and half of them are not, but they're kind of puppets and they're kind of go, well, that's a neat idea. Let's try that.
Yeah, there's this concept also of like form legislation. So California put something together and they managed to get it through, and there's maybe a challenge in this through to the state constitutional court, and it's upheld. Politicians in another state see, okay, they already did the hard work. Let's grab that, and we'll see if we can't get that approved here.
Yep.
So that's definitely one way. And it's funny you talk about people moving. I live in Florida. And we've had a huge influx of people really in the last 5 years since COVID moving into the state.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the concerns has been, are they going to bring their politics with them? So you have a lot of people coming down from the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, which are certainly more liberal areas than Florida is in certain areas of society. And so far we haven't seen it. So I don't know if that's a trend nationally. But it's always a concern. You say, hey, Californians, why don't you just move? Well, I don't know which ones. Somebody voted for those policies. So if they come to your backyard and start voting for those policies again, that's not such a good thing. So
And everybody thinks that
I
they're,
don't want them to leave. I want it to be better for Californians in California, and Chicagoans in Chicago and New Yorkers in New York,
yeah,
among other places.
yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks they're in the center. They always think that like, I'm a little bit right of center. I'm a little bit
Yeah,
left
right.
of
I'm
center.
right off the
Yeah, I'm very, very close to just right in the middle. I'm very, very level headed, except that,
Yeah.
when you're surrounded by a certain mindset in San Francisco, you don't realize that maybe you're not in the center of whatever the average or the mean average or whatever it is. I forgot.
Yeah.
I barely
The same
passed
is
sixth
true on
grade
the other
math. I don't know,
side.
mean, median. I don't know.
Oh, we don't need that. It's true on the other side, though. I think the important thing is having an open mind, trying to listen, actually listen
Yeah.
to people, because we can fight with each other all we want, but unless we can really understand the root behind the fight, on the other side, we can't really find a compromise that's going to work for everybody, that's going to make everybody happy or equally unhappy, let's say,
Yeah.
because that's really what compromises end up being. But yeah, it's important I think, to try to not necessarily sympathize with other people's positions, but just to understand them.
Mhm.
Generally, those positions come with some amount of logic behind them. Sometimes they don't. But one way or another, try to understand where they're coming from, so that you can effectively explain why maybe that's not the best position.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see you guys are
So
getting involved in that stuff. Hey,
yeah,
after
we do what we
break,
can.
we're going to talk with Dan about shopping for ammo online, and
Oh, I forgot to do that.
he's going to tell us all the secrets right after this. Winchester Supreme Optics, quality and innovation in optics. Winchester has a rich heritage dating back over a century, an American brand that has become synonymous with excellence, reliability, and innovation. They've expanded with their optics line, binoculars, rangefinders, rifle scopes, spotting scopes, and even thermal rifle scopes. You can learn more at winchesteroptics.com. That's winchesteroptics.com. Engineered for precision, performance, and versatility, the Colt Optics Ready 1911 competition pistols are the perfect choice for competitive shooters looking to gain an edge. We're talking about 1911s in either 9mm or 45, and they're cut for optics. I mean, that's like cheating. You get a red dot on top of a Colt 1911. They're versatile. They're great with an optics plate system. Seamless experience for those who want to take their shooting game to the next level. You can learn more over at Colt.com. Big news from First Person Defender. There's a new season launching, season 14. And with it, we're launching a brand new YouTube channel dedicated entirely to FPD. We're kicking it off with the new season, our most intense and eye-opening season yet. Carjackings, home invasions, armed robberies. First Person Defender throws everyday people into real-world self-defense scenarios, and it's all captured on camera. Subscribe now at the First Person Defender YouTube channel. You can also find it on Facebook, on Roku, everywhere else that you're going to see our videos. Real people, real training, real reactions. This is First Person Defender like you've never seen it before. Elevate your precision with the Leupold Mark IV HD rifle scope, featuring a professional-grade optical system for pinpoint clarity and zero-lock dials for precise, reliable adjustments. This lightweight yet rugged, reliable rifle scope is the ultimate companion for any shooter, and they have it in a variety of configurations, a 1:4, like variable low-power optic, all the way up to an 8 to 32 power if you want to reach out and hit stuff at really long distances. The Leupold Mark IV HD, we've been using it. We've been liking it. It's got a lot of nice features to it. It's high quality. It's something you can depend on. You can learn more over at leupold.com. So Dan, people went absolutely bonkers buying ammunition online. And I would say we, because I was probably in there as well. We all went bonkers. And,
I was stocking up
2020,
too.
2021, 22. And people, I think, if they hadn't done it already, they figured out like, oh, this is a way to buy ammo. And then they start shopping around and everybody lists like the cost per round and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you're a guy who runs one of these sites. I mean, I kind of set you up, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, if there are any tips and tricks or things like, what are you noticing these days with ammo? Because it's not as scarce as it was, right? I mean, it's more available now.
Certainly not right now. Yeah, I'd start with saying it's a great time to buy ammo, meaning prices are about as low as I've seen them. I don't expect them to get any lower. We are as close to pre-pandemic pricing as I think we're ever going to get. There was obviously a lot of inflation over the last 5 years. Makes it kind of hard. These things are mostly commodity metals. It makes it kind of hard to get back down to the prices that we were at before. So it's a great time to buy ammo is the first thing that I would say. As far as, secrets, you said tips, tricks, secrets. Buying ammo, firearms, accessories online is really no different than buying any other valuable, important to you thing online. And so from my perspective, price is important. It needs to be competitive, but customer service and knowing that that company is going to be there to stand behind the product, the experience, if you need it is, I think, equally, if not more important. And so that's something that we've really strived for at Ammunition Depot. We have among the highest customer service ratings in the industry. In fact, I think the highest, but I suppose I can't say that definitively. But if you go and look online, Better Business Bureau, Trustpilot, Google, these kinds of things, we have ratings out of 5, 4.9. I don't know if we have a 5 anywhere, 4.8,
Yeah.
4.95. We track this internally, something called an NPS, and we don't need to get too deep into it, but the best score you can get on an NPS is 100, and the worst score you can get is a negative 100. We consistently maintain a score between 90 and 100,
Wow.
which is unheard of for companies, let alone companies in our space. Just companies. It's very difficult to find any company out there that's tracking NPS that has one that high. So it's really important for us. We try to put the customer first. Obviously, I also have to make money. So, we're not giving ammo away, but very, very competitive pricing, competitive shipping costs. Sometimes there'll be opportunities for free shipping or special promotions, things like that.
Yeah.
But we just keep it as tight as we can so that we can serve our customers for the long haul. We want to be here for 100 years
I,
doing what we're doing.
that makes a big difference when somebody has kind of a long-term view, because I think that you end up treating people the right way, you do things the right way because you're not chasing the week, the month, the quarter, whatever it may be, because you're trying to do it the right way.
Yeah.
I guess when we talk about shopping online, a lot of times with the ammo, a lot of times people are thinking about the bulk purchasing of ammo. And one of the things I've noticed over the years, if you do this long enough, it's like if you're a consumer of ammo, like you really shoot a lot. You shoot a lot of 9, you shoot a lot of 223, whatever it may be. You really can dollar cost average this thing, whether it's every month or every couple months or whatever. Buy it when it's cheap, because everybody runs out when things become scarce and the costs are higher. But if you're kind of
Yeah.
like just buying all the time, a little bit at a time, and I say a little bit, Ryan's version of a little bit is like maybe
Right.
500 to 1,000 rounds.
500 rounds, 1,000 rounds. Yeah,
But
I would agree. If you're going to buy at least 500 rounds, you're going to be able to do it cost effectively online. And if you have the space, I would agree. Buy every so often, a little bit more than you think you need, put it away. We're working on some things to help people, even if they don't have the space and some stuff like that. So hopefully in a couple of months, I can come back and tell you about some neat stuff that we're doing. Not really ready to throw that out there yet, but yeah, prices are low, and the best thing that you can do to protect yourself and all of us really
Mhm.
against those price spikes that happen is don't panic buy. And how do you not panic buy? Buy before you panic.
Pre-panic buy.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Well,
So
you guys also make your own ammo. You're loading ammo, isn't that right?
yeah, so we obviously sell everybody's ammo,
Yeah.
and we work with all of the major manufacturers in the United States and most of the major manufacturers globally. But we also manufacture ammo ourselves, and we do that not because we're trying to become the biggest ammo manufacturer and compete with Winchester, or Federal, or whatever, but really just so that when things do go crazy,
Mhm.
we can make sure that we have ammo for our customers. Because there's been times over the last couple of years we couldn't buy any ammo
Yeah.
at any price. Didn't matter what I was willing to pay for it. I couldn't get ammo in the door to service my customers. And so knowing that I have an alternative source through manufacturing of ammunition ourselves is really, really valuable
What do you
for really our customer base.
What do you think about remanufactured ammo? Is that a good buy, or is like, because there are probably listeners who say, I don't know if I want to shoot that through my gun or whatever. What is remanufactured? I know what it is, but like, what would be the
Yeah.
definition of, and what is it not?
Yeah. So ammunition for handguns, rifles, shotguns a little bit different, but let's just stick in kind of the handgun space because it's the simplest, no necked cartridges, stuff like that. It's a brass cartridge. When you shoot it, that brass expands. And so it's no longer kind of in spec. It's not the same shape it was before you shot it. So you can take that cartridge, we call it a spent cartridge, you can remanufacture it, meaning get it back into tolerances. You clean it, you remove the spent primer, you shape it back into the right size, you put in a new primer, you put in fresh powder, you put in obviously a new projectile, and now you've got a round of ammunition that was cheaper to produce because you didn't have to buy a new cartridge. Instead, you did all of this work to make the old cartridge kind of, let's say, like new again.
So it's
You can
usually
actually do
made
that
from
quite a few times.
It's usually made from like once fired brass, right?
Once fired, we call it once fired brass, but you can actually reload a cartridge. There's no exact number, but it could be even like 10 times before you start
Sure.
splitting that cartridge as you're trying to reform it. But yeah, once fired brass mostly comes from ranges. Your range that you go to, if you're not picking up your brass, they're picking up your brass.
And they're selling it.
They're selling it. Yeah. So is it a good thing? I think it's good. It makes a good cost-effective option for people who shoot a lot. If you have extremely tight tolerance firearm, maybe you don't want to use reman. If you spent $3,000 on a titanium 1911, you should probably pay up for some, some nicer ammo.
Look, if you're going to drive a car that costs six figures, don't put regular unleaded gas in it. Come on.
Yeah, same idea. You're not going to put the bargain bin tires on that vehicle either. But if you're, I don't want to offend any of our brand partners that we work with, but if you got a High Point, or Taurus 3C or like GLOCK, it'll eat anything.
Simple, exactly. A simple polymer pistol.
And you're shooting a lot. You're putting holes in paper. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
go for it. It's a great way to save some money.
Ammo. Yeah, but you guys sell that stuff too.
We sell match ammo also, self-defense ammo. Magazines, cleaning, all the stuff that you would need to enjoy the shooting sports.
Along those lines, let's talk about that because you guys do sell a lot of stuff outside of ammo. It's expanded into other areas.
We do,
but there's one new product that we have to talk about.
I've been teasing it the whole time.
I know.
It's sitting here.
It was there. And if you're watching this, you're seeing Dan pick it up. And we're about to tell you, this is going to blow your mind right after the break. The TSOS Carry in 9mm is now available in a double stack version, built around TSOS's forged slide frame and barrel that are machined to exacting tolerances. The new double stack models combine all the features of modern high-capacity 1911 pistols with the reputation for quality and value that the TSOS guns are known for. They also have a polymer grip module with 25 line prints checkering on the front and rear and molded texture. So very cool guns at a great price. You can learn more over at tsosusa.com. Black Hills Honey Badger ammo is a solid copper, non-deforming, non-fragmenting projectile with wide, sharp flutes, ballistic broadheads that cut through barriers that cause hollow points to fail, at least sometimes. An overall increase in depth and width of wound cavities. In that moment when you need the best to defend your family's life or your own, you'll appreciate a certain quality the Honey Badger possesses for the least complicated reason in the world. Well, it works. If you're listening to this show, you probably like guns, but how many classes have you take to make you a better shooter? And that's what we do at Range Ready Studios. Range Ready is a premium firearms training academy in Robert, Louisiana, and it's here at the Gun Talk headquarters. We've got a range out back, actually several ranges. We've got classroom, we've got a shoot house, and we've got some of the best instructors around. And I promise, when people come here, the reviews are 5-star. They love it, and they improve on their shooting. You can learn more at rangereadystudios.com, and I'll tell you a trick. Sign up for the email list because you guys that sign up for the email list are the first to hear about our new classes, and they sell out quick. You've probably heard about the Ruger RXM pistol. It's the result of a collaboration between Ruger and Magpul. American-made handgun, stands out with a variety of upgraded features, including direct mount optic cut slide. So you can put an RMR, Delta Point Pro, RMSC cuts with co-witness height sights. It also has their fire control insert. It's a removable stainless steel insert. That's the serialized part of the gun, which enables you to customize using Magpul enhanced grip handgun grips. And so they have different colors, different sizes. You can really customize it. It's Gen 3 compatible, so it works with magazines that you may already own. And we've tested it. We shot it a lot, and we like it. You can learn more about the Ruger RXM over at Ruger.com. All right, so Dan, just when you say Ammunition Depot, people are like, oh, okay, they sell ammo. But they also sell gun parts and guns and optics and magazines, and you make your own ammo, but you have some other brands that you guys are doing. And I teased it before the break. You've got a new thing that you told me about, and I was like, wait a minute, what? Tell me more.
Yeah, so we partnered with a company called Rattlesnake Tactical to make this magazine. It's but for the spring, an all polymer magazine, which is much like you've seen before. There's many brands on the market with something like this. This is a double stack 9mm magazine,
Hmm.
which is made for the Glock platform. So it's going to
Okay.
fit any double stack 9mm Glock or firearm that accepts magazines for double stack 9mm Glock. What's neat about this, it's 34 rounds. I was able to squeeze 35 in after the spring relaxed, but 34 rounds.
Call it
Um,
34.
the, Call it 34. Packaging says 34. Couple of neat things. Number one, lifetime warranty. So Rattlesnake Tactical, anything happens, accidental damage, you drop it at the range and it breaks or whatever, they'll replace it for you. So I think that's very, very cool. The
Hmm.
other thing, and we push real hard on this, is the cost. We've kept the cost way, way down on this. So the MSRP is $19.99, which is in line with MSRPs on a lot of other stuff. We have partnered with Rattlesnake Tactical for the exclusive rollout. So for some period of time, we've bought all of the production capacity of Rattlesnake Tactical for this magazine.
Okay.
For that rollout, we are pricing it as low as they will let us.
How low is that,
As we
Dan?
as we sell more and more, we have to move the price up towards where it's going to be eventually. Uh, Unfortunately, the first 3,000 of these already went out the door, and we were only allowed to sell 3,000 at a cost of $4.99. And currently they are at $5.99. I don't know how long that price will last.
Okay.
Eventually, I would expect to see this product in the market somewhere closer to the $10 price point. But for just as long as Rattlesnake will let me keep buying them and selling them at that price, we will keep doing it. So we're going to keep the price as low as we possibly can. But you compare that to the other stuff in the market, and it's less. It's a significant amount less. And so, you want to throw 3 or 4 or 10 of these in your range bag or in your safe or whatever, you can really do that without breaking the bank. So
That is
it
such a big deal because I mean,
yeah,
in the PCC world, especially, I
mm,
mean,
perfect.
magazines can be expensive, and everybody wants those
Yes.
extendo. That's what they call it on the streets, the extendos. Those high capacity mags. And what's crazy is, yeah, I mean, for my like 9mm PCC stuff, I mean, I have 5, 6, 10 of those types of mags, and I'll load them all up before I go to the range just to save myself
Hmm.
time because that's
It's so much better. Nobody likes loading
freaking like
mags at the
200, 300
range.
rounds, you know,
Yep.
and to be able to do that for $6 per mag. Now, before you
Hmm.
guys, we're going to drop a link into the description of this that'll take you over there. And so you don't have to go searching. But Rattlesnake Tactical 34 round 9mm magazine designed for Glock patterns, which obviously works for Glocks, but there's a lot of guns that use Glock pattern magazines too.
Yes. Yep.
Now, what
The
are
other real cool
go
thing
ahead.
about it, I'll throw this out there real quick. Uh, Together with Rattlesnake, we tested this, and we had a third party test this also, and it outperforms the similar magazines on the market. So the other polymer magazines on the market, they all perform similarly on a drop test from a durability perspective.
Mhm.
They're all the same. But the failure rate, which is failure to feed mostly on this magazine, was about 1/10 of the failure rate on similar magazines.
Now, how do you
So
achieve
it's
that?
it's way, way
Is
more
that
reliable.
in the follower or in the feed lips, or what is it that kind of makes it more reliable?
Yeah, there's a lot of engineering that goes into these mags. They seem like they're all the same and they seem like it's an easy, simple thing. But in reality, there's a lot of engineering there on the inside of this magazine tube, on the follower spring that's used, on the tilt and cant of the follower and the top of the spring itself, the geometry of the follower.
Hmm.
So there's a lot that goes into it. And these guys just did a great job making a magazine that is cheap and reliable and designed, manufactured, packaged, conceived, sold entirely in the United States of America. So no parts of this magazine
That's a good
are
point.
coming from overseas.
Yeah, I'm sure that people would assume to get to that cost, it would have to be shipped in.
Yeah, but it's not.
What are other questions that people ask about this? Because it's like automatically when something is a surprise, the cost is surprisingly lower than what they think. They go, okay, well, is it any good? What's the construction of it? What other things would they want to know?
Usually you nailed it. It goes right to like, well, it must be a piece of junk, right? If it's that cheap, it's got to be a piece of junk. And it's not, which is
Mm-hmm.
why we wanted to make sure that not only did we test this before we wanted to sell it to our consumers, but we had a third party test this as well against the big names in the market. Kind of be nice and not name them here, but the bigger names in the market who your listeners, my customers might have some of their magazines, certainly have used them before. And the market is very, very happy with those magazines, happy with the price point. They're buying them up like crazy. And so we tested it against those to make sure that it was going to perform at least as well. Our hope was that it was just as good. If it's as good but cheaper, we're happy to bring that to our customers. We think they're going to love it. In reality, it ended up being better and cheaper. So that's the biggest question that we've gotten so far, and that I expect to get is, oh, it's a piece of junk. People say, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to replace the spring. It's going to have all these failures. It just doesn't seem to be true.
Yeah. What kind of guns did you test it in?
So for the third party testing, we use the GLOCK line.
Mhm.
So 17s, 19s, and 46.
Okay.
I think the mini. We've also tested it in a number of PCCs. And later this week, I'm going to go myself and test this in a new Strybog that I got,
Nice.
which is going to be really fun. But yeah, we've tested it in a couple of different PCCs, and basically the most popular firearms in the Glock line. We made sure we're using the same firearm to test the different magazines, so that it's not, we don't have some issue with the gun. We put the
Sure.
dirty old one that we didn't clean on the competitors or something like that. That's certainly not the case. We used clean ones, dirty ones, and everything in between. We put, I think, the minimum we put through a magazine was 500 rounds,
Okay.
but we put much more than that through some, and just again to test durability, reliability needs to be there for the long term. So we tested everything we could think of.
Very
The
cool.
only thing it failed on, which all the magazines failed on, was a drop test from 3 feet, fully loaded on the feed lips. So you drop it like
Side mount.
this, straight on the concrete from the feed lips, and all of the magazines end up splitting right here down the middle of the magazine tube.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if that's a concern for you, go get a metal lined mag. It won't do that.
Right.
We offer those as well. Glock makes a 33 round metal line magazine. I think maybe KCI makes one as well if you're interested in saving a little bit,
Yeah.
and don't mind not having the Glock name. But other than that, they perform really well. And again, they all failed in the same way on that same test. So that seemed like something that probably not going to be able to get around with this type of construction. And at that price point, comparatively, it seemed like a great deal and something I wanted to be able to offer to our customers.
That's cool. Well, thanks for telling us that, because it's probably, I'm not trying to defend it, but it's kind of an unlikely scenario. But you're right. Like if you're going for hard use, duty use type of thing, there are other options that you might consider,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. If you're going for duty use, $4, $5, $6 mags, probably not the right mag, right?
Yeah.
I mean, uh, look, it'll work, but still, when you're trusting your life, I trust Glock.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sure.
buy one Glock 33 round magazine and 9 of these,
Yeah.
and
There you
you'll
go.
be set, But
Very
yeah,
cool.
there's certainly other options out there.
Rattlesnake Tactical. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Dan, what do you see coming up in the future for, what do the tea leaves say for people? I guess just maybe products that you're seeing, trends you're seeing, or what should the listeners be looking for?
Sure. If I could read the tea leaves, I don't think we'd be sitting here, but I'll do my best shot at it. There's some trends that have been happening for a long time, which I don't think are going to be a surprise to anybody. 40's dying, it seems to be. What I think is interesting is that demand in the market for 223.556 is way down, way, way down. Demand for AR seems way down as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that platform's dying. That is not what I mean to say here. We've got, I don't know, 30, 40 million ARs out in people's, hopefully, safes and gun lockers
Yep.
out in this country. And I don't think there's a going anywhere. It's a phenomenal platform. I love it just as much as everybody else does. Um, but for whatever reason, maybe it's because people are hurting and don't have the cash to spend, and two, three, five, five, 6 rounds are expensive. Um, the the proportion that we see of sales in 223 versus sales in 9 millimeter has really shifted over the
Mm.
last year or so, much, much more heavily to 9 millimeter.
You think
And
they're
so
kind
then
of
on that
shifting their
side,
shooting to shooting nine then?
that's what I think.
Yeah.
I suspect that it's a little bit more cost effective to go and shoot nine. And so if you're shooting for fun, not really training, um, you're shooting nine. It has the kind of feedback profile that you want, the recoil profile that you want. I mean, 22 is fun, but it's a whole different
I was
animal,
going to
right?
ask, what are you seeing in 22? Is that gain in popularity if people are looking for a cheaper way to shoot?
Yeah, so not as much as I've seen it in the past. And part of that is that comparatively 22 isn't as cheap as it used to be. So we used to be able to offer 22 for 5 cents a round all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten really hard to maintain that price point. We're able to hit it sometimes, but most of the time we just can't get it that low, and keep the doors open.
Sure.
Because I have to keep the doors open. Um, so, we've seen a big shift to nine. And I think from the perspective of like self-defense, home defense, and again, this is not really news for anybody, but nine is winning the handgun wars there for sure. There's a lot of 1911 lovers and 45 ACP still really popular. 380 has gotten less and less popular, in my opinion. I think the reason for that is that you've seen stuff come out like the P365, like the G43, where you've got a slim, small profile, maybe 7 to 10 rounds of 9 millimeter. It's so small, the savings that you get, another quarter of an inch or something, by moving to the 380 instead, just not worth it. So the
And
gun
yeah, I
manufacturers
mean,
have done a great job with their technology to
yeah,
kind of, you don't need 380 anymore. I still have some. I love 380 also. I
yeah.
think it's a great caliber, great platform, and I've got a couple of them. Like P238 is a great, carry gun, and if you absolutely are having trouble carrying and you need to throw something in your pocket, I haven't found anything smaller than LCP
Yeah.
out there
Well,
on the
and
market, right?
the only
So
difference between a 380 and the 9 is a little bit of length. So it doesn't really give you
yeah,
more capacity. So yeah, it's a good point. Like a
right.
P365 and they have the
It ends up being a little bit
SL,
shorter, and that's kind of
you
it.
would just, yeah, you could have the grip be shorter front to back slightly, but I
Hmm.
mean, it's not changing the capacity of the gun. And I think that, I mean, for most people, the shootability is not that much of a difference either between 9 and 380.
Honestly, if anything, 380 is a little bit worse. Some of those firearms are so small, it's hard to get a good grip on it. And then you go and modifying the grip or putting in an extension plate so that you can really get purchase with your pinky.
Yeah.
And now it's not small anymore anyway.
It's not a pocket
So
gun. I don't even. I
yeah,
don't
I
wear
mean,
cargo shorts anymore,
P365
Dan.
is.
I can't even
Yeah,
fit this thing in
exactly. I
here.
don't have to do it anymore. I really like the P365 as a platform. So does America. I think it's the
Yeah.
most popular concealed carry gun still for the last couple of years. And 10 rounds of 9 millimeter or 10 plus one. It's great. I love the SAS version. If you
Yep.
haven't checked it out, it's kind of cool, kind of neat. The SAS SIG anti-stang, they kind of took all the little things sticking off the
Dude,
sights and everything,
you're gonna
embedded
get
into the
everybody
slide. It's
fired
very
up
cool.
talking about that damn gun. People are
I'm sorry. I'm
that is a
sorry.
firecracker. That's a grenade into a bar room, dude. So
Yeah.
like,
Sorry, guys.
it's so funny though because if you say, let me explain the SES, or if you've seen it, but it's like, well, it doesn't have traditional sights, and
Oh, it's so
there's a
weird.
percentage of people that flip out like that's ridiculous. Now most of those people haven't shot it, who say it's ridiculous because it's different, but it's actually not
Hmm.
ridiculous because we've shot it, we've filmed with it, we've had Phil Strader, who had a part in inventing this thing, down here shooting it, and it really works, and that's what everybody on the range when they
Yeah.
see it, they're going like, "I'll be damned!" Like that really
Yeah.
works.
It's cool. For those of you who don't know, it has this thing. I think it's called the bullseye target, but instead of having your traditional dovetail sights, embedded in the slide is this little piece of plastic that's properly aligned at the factory with an open circle and a dot. And
Hmm.
you align the dot within the open circle, and that gives you your sight picture so that you then, know that you're going to hit your target. For the reality is, my understanding, luckily, I've never been in a situation where I had to use a firearm to defend myself. But my understanding from talking to people who have, especially law enforcement officers, when that happens, it's nothing like your training. You lose accuracy on the order of 10. So if you're a 1 MOA shooter, now you're a 10 MOA shooter.
Right.
And you're not spending time thinking like, okay, let me line up my sights and get a good sight picture or whatever. So training obviously is really important. And from that perspective, it's just about muscle memory with that sight picture. So for me, I've got good indicators when I am slowing down in training to make sure that I'm, going to hit what I'm aiming at. And should I unfortunately ever find myself in a situation where I need to defend myself, I have that muscle memory, I have that practice, and I'm going to be able to, bring that weapon on target, and sight picture and muscle memory are going to take over. So
Yeah.
it's cool. You should take a look at it. It's not for everybody, but take a look at it, and it's at least different and neat.
It is different and neat, but I mean, we have not like I don't have thousands and thousands of rounds, but the shooting and the filming we've done with it really worked. We were surprised by it. Like anything, you got to practice with it. You got to practice. Like if you're switching and you're adding a red dot to your pistol and you never shot a red dot, you better practice, or it's not going to work for you.
As an aside, you should add a red dot to your pistol because it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but like if you're not used to it, you're going to be probably slower because you're not used to using it and what that sight picture looks like. But yeah, that's a fun one. Dan, this has been great, man. Okay, so I'll remind them this 34 round Glock mag from Rattlesnake Tactical. They can find it on your website, but we'll put a link in the description so you guys can find it easy. And very cool. I mean, a $6 extendo mag. That's a lifetime warranty.
I hope we can keep it at $6 for a long time. We'll see. But man, I mean, even at $10, it's a phenomenal price point. So it'll be we'll keep it as low as we can for as long as we can. But man, it's a killer deal.
And the lifetime guarantee, that's from you guys?
Rattlesnake Tactical offers a lifetime guarantee. Now, what we do, which is a little bit different, is anything you purchase from us, if you ever have an issue with it, call us. We've got relationships with all of these guys. You don't need to try to weave your way through their, returns or warranties or whatever. If you bought it from us, call us. We're going to help you through the process, whomever it is, and make sure that you get the outcome that you kind of deserve, right? Make sure that the warranty is honored from the company and that kind of stuff. We have some other products and that also offer something called Ammo Shield, where we can extend things that don't have a lifetime warranty into a lifetime warranty. So if you do come and buy stuff from us, you have that option to turn a 1 or 2 or 3 year warranty into a lifetime warranty. But either way, if you bought it from me, give us a call. If you ever have a problem, we're going to take care of you.
Awesome. All right, Dan, thanks. Ammunition Depot, you guys go check them out. And we will see you all next time on Gun Talk Nation.